This is probably the most guests we're ever going to have on this podcast at one time. And you know, I wouldn't do it if it were not a special occasion. Sometimes I get press releases to my email. Actually, I get a lot of press releases to the point where I filtered them out. Like if you use the phrase for immediate release, I probably didn't see your email except when I went to check for it. I just happened to check my email. It was either a Monday or a Tuesday morning. And when I saw this email at the top of my inbox, I didn't even have words. All I could say was, yo. And so that's exactly what I did. I posted on Threads, on Twitter, to talk about the formation of the Ink Alliance. And I've actually got quite a few members of the Ink Alliance here surrounding me like the Brady Bunch. And so please welcome to Comics Are Dope, the podcast, Mr. Michael Davis of Blerds Underground, Mr. Joe Woods of the Comic Den, Mr. Phil Rollins of Offbeat Comics and Record Shop. And then we've got Mr. and Mrs. Sean and Ragan Mack of Cuts and Comics, the world's first comic book store and barbershop all in one. We got a whole lot of firsts, a whole lot of amazing things going on. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
The only one in curls.
yeah, Sean has been the silent G this entire pre-show. And the first thing he does is start singing the Brady Bunch. I have no idea what to expect from this man from this point forward.
I told you. I said, look, Sean quiet till he ain't. When you want to chime in, that brother gonna be heard.
Right. Well, first of all, everyone, again, welcome and congratulations on the formation of this alliance. You know, not to insert myself in this conversation, but there's been a lot of sort of groundswell over the last few months about representation and how we can kind of fix the direct market. And, you know, in that conversation, I posted a video about how kind of it can be frustrating to be Black and nerdy in some of these spaces. Like it just feels like a lot of stuff is dictated towards you. A lot of stuff like you kind of have to take scraps at times. And it's just not fun in some aspects. And one of the solutions that I proposed to this problem was we got to get more Black people in the direct market. We got to figure out how to get more diversity, not just among the readership, but among store ownership. Now, I did not know at that time that there were perhaps less than 20. I've seen the number as high as 20 and as few as 10 Black-owned direct market shops in the country out of 2,000 estimated comic book stores with, you know, lunar or diamond accounts, right? Like that is crazy for the number to be that low. I was actually talking to my shop owner, Dan from Fight or Flight Comics. He's Filipino. And he told me he went to ComicsPro either 2 or 3 years ago. And he was the only Asian. And there was one Black person there who was the only Black person. And they struck up a conversation about how it was just very white. And I had no idea there was that small of representation. So when a couple of weeks later, I got that email about the Ink Alliance forming, I was really excited because I feel like it's the start of something really, really awesome. So I want to talk to you guys about, one, your independent journeys as retailers, and then kind of meeting this moment with coalition by forming this alliance. So I guess, Michael and Philip, I'll start with you guys since you're the co-founders of this initiative, and ask just kind of how did this come together?
Well, Phil, you mind if I start?
Go ahead.
It really started around what you mentioned, and then I'm curious. I might know who it is. You said what name of that shop? What was the name of the shop that you said you went to?
It's Fight or Flight Comics in Raleigh.
Fight or Flight. I think I know exactly who you're talking about, because I think that was the year I was there the first time and had the experience of being the only in that room, and that's really where this whole thing started. Is that so I've been owner of Blerds Underground in Chicago for, at that point, it had been about 3 years. And I felt like I was alone on an island trying to figure out what to do. Because unlike some comic shop owners, I came into the business with zero knowledge of how to run a retail shop. I bought a shop that was getting ready to close. I had a full-time job, so did my best friend, and we did something crazy and just bought us a shop and said we're gonna figure this shit out. so we did, and the first 3 years, brother, it was the most stressful 3 years. It was plenty of days we woke up and just called each other like, man, what the hell did we get ourselves into? Because we didn't know what we were doing, right? And I've got degrees, I've got business experience, but jumping into comics as a retailer is just something that there was no preparation for. And so when I found out about this conference called ComicsPro, I was excited because I'm like, okay, there is a national conference of comic shop owners that get together and share resources and information, and I'm there, right? So I go out to Cali, and there are thousands of comic shop owners, all from not even just across the country. There was even some that flew from out of the country, Canada, and some folks in the UK, and all these retailers there. And all the information that I'm getting, I'm thinking, damn, I wish I had learned this when I was first in business, right? But as I'm looking around, I'm like, damn, I am the only brother in this whole goddamn conference. And I'm like, this thing, I knew look, I was not disillusioned. I had never been to a black-owned comic shop until I founded our comic shop. So it's not like I thought that there was a whole lot of us out there anyway, but I just assumed that there was more than a few of us. So I'm in that conference and I'm like, yo, as welcoming as y'all making me feel here, where's the color, right? Where are my people? Like, do they exist? And so they were basically telling me, like, if you go find them, I'm sure they're out there. A couple of them have gone in different years where maybe I wasn't present, but after I left that conference, I started a Discord chat, and I just started reaching out to shops, and I'm like, hey, I see you black, like, let's talk. And I started a Discord chat because I'm like, we should be talking, we should be messaging, and it fell flat. I think because like the generational divide, right? Like some people didn't really know what Discord was, and I'm trying to teach them, and all that shit. And Phillip Venom, he was the first person in the chat that actually started engaging with me a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I like this guy. I'm telling him, no, come to ComicsPro with me. Let me meet you in person. So he came to the next year's, and then he and I were the only two in the damn conference. And so, I'm looking at him and I'm like, bro, am I crazy? Like, we need to have something like this for our people. Like, we need to know the other black retailers. There's no reason we should be on these islands. And Phillip was like, dog, I'm down. Like, he'll tell you himself in a little bit. He has an association he's a part of on the record business side. And he's like, I've seen it done before. On the comic side, like, if you need help, we can do this. And so I just started, when I got back, I had a whole new drive. I'm like, I don't care if it's Discord, GroupMe, Facebook Messenger, goddamn carrier pigeon. I'm going to find a way to get us all talking to each other, because there is no reason that we shouldn't A, know each other, and B, trying to figure out ways that we could collaborate. And so I got on the horn, started calling folks, and I just knew that a few of them was going to hang up and think I was trying to scam them or some shit or sell them something. I'm like, hey, I'm Mike Davis. I don't need to buy nothing from you. I swear, I got a shop. I just want to know you. I just want to get to know you and have you meet other black retailers. And surprisingly, I didn't call one person that hung up on me. Not one. As a matter of fact, everybody in this Inc. Alliance that picked up the phone was excited to talk to me and was down from the moment that I gave this crazy idea about us all coming together. So it's been a journey. That said, you just heard that little girl screaming for me, so I'm gonna turn it over to Phil to tell his story how this thing happened.
He pretty much told pretty much the bulk of it though. But on my end, I know with the record side of my store during COVID, there was like a whole buy black movement. Like everybody's buying black during COVID. Everybody's getting into records as a hobby, and they ended up with a group of us black record stores with a Vans kind of documentary on each of us. And then after that, it kind of spun into like, hey, we should start a coalition for us, because there's other coalitions of record stores. I was like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. And I ended up going to a conference that's similar to ComicsPro, but on the record side. And it was me and one other black-owned store. And this store was DBS Sounds in Atlanta. And long story short, they formed FAMS, which is Forever Music Store, which is a group of black-owned record shops. So when Mike hit me up, I was like, yeah, we could do this for comics. So like you said, the Discord, flat, nothing coming out of it. And then I think it wasn't until I participated in local comic shop day last year And I was like, what the fuck is ComicsPro? I don't know what this is. Like, I see it, I know that the thing, whatever. I said, and so I did my research, did my Googles, and looked it up. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to this, sign up for this membership. This membership costs a lot of money. It better be worth it. And so I did the membership, got in the group, and Mike is the only black person in there. And he's like, "Oh, you going?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like overly excited, and I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'm going." And I'm like in my head, I'm like, "This better be worth my time," and it happened to be worth my time. Even though Mike had a bajillion and one questions for me, it was worth my time. But um, the Ink Alliance formed kind of quickly. And Mike had started a Facebook group with us called was it the Black Retailers,
Yeah. Yep.
Black comic book retailers. And it wasn't until like we talked about forming it, but we kind of been like slow pacing it, and it wasn't until we had got an offer proposal, I guess, and we was like, oh, we need to go ahead and do this. I said, you can't fail unless you try. So the Ink Alliance was kind of formed in what, like 2 months,
If that shit, I thought I've been saying a
maybe a
month.
month. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why, that's part of the reason why we know there's more. We know there's more stores out there. Visibility has been low with black retailers, and so now that it's gonna grow. Ink Alliance is definitely gonna grow, and we've been reaching out to these other stores. But that's why we have a core 10 right now, which is because we had to get this up and going. We needed like hard commitments immediately.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll talk a little bit more about that offer, that proposal that came in just a bit. But I want to turn attention to the birthday boy, Mr. Joseph Woods. Because agreeing to do an interview on my birthday is not something that I would do. So I appreciate you being here, sir. But I wanted to so I'm familiar with your shop mainly because of the Comic Shop web series that was filmed at your location. And that kind of put it on the map for me. And then, I've got several writer friends, on the West Coast, and it seems like everybody who is anyone stops in at the Comic Den. So you've got, there was a young lady doing socials for you for a little bit. I don't know if she still is.
Oh, Erin. Yeah, she still does them.
Nice. So I've seen your shop getting some traction online. And I did not have an in to connect with you. I was like, I should find out who knows him so I can meet this brother. But I wanted to ask how you got in the business, and perhaps what are some of the unique challenges that have come from being an independent black retailer?
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna tell you like my brother told me. I was building myself and preparing this throughout my whole career, running retail stores. For the last probably 20 years, I've managed big box stores from CVS to Big Lots to Vons and stuff like that. So learning retail merchandising, leadership, all those attributes kind of brought me to where I am today, but the amazing thing about that, through all that, my one piece was my comic books, learning more about, reading story arcs, learning more about, artists and writers, finding more about black writers and artists and characters and stuff like that. You become a student of the craft as you grow and mature in comics and stuff. And you want to know more and more and more about, characters. And the one thing I found out during my early years when I was a kid, following guys like John Byrne and George Perez, there was an artist by the name of Keith Pollard. Him and my mother's the same age. He was drawing Thor, he was drawing Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and some months he was drawing these books at the same time, and knowing that he was a black artist, which I didn't know at that time, I always said to myself, if social media was active back in those days, had we known about black artists like him, he would have moved a whole generation of guys like myself to get into writing and art and stuff like that. So that opened my eyes to who else is out there that's done these amazing things that I don't know about, that I would like to bring to the table. So in this journey, like a friend of mine did some time in prison, and he was a total inspiration to me because he got out there on the nonprofit market. He started a baking business and stuff like that. And he was like, dude, all the time I was in there, I was thinking about you and those comic books. No matter what we done, whether if it was good or bad, you was always in those comic books, man. He said, I think you have something that can be powerful to bring our community back together. So I was like saying to myself, what can I do? Dude, I manage stores for a living, you know what I'm saying? And but the thing that I thought to do was, it came to my spirit, was to give. So I would get donations of books I didn't want anymore, and I would go to like events and stuff like that, and I would just give the community comic books. When I bought Blackula by Rodney Barnes, I grew up in Watts, and Blackula starts in Watts. So I'm showing guys in lowrider clubs and stuff like that, like, hey man, comic books are in your neighborhood, and that drew interest to that. So guys were like, yeah man, I used to hustle. You find out drug dealers, all type of dudes have been involved in comic books. So it opens up the avenue, and now they want their kids to know, because what are we giving them? We're giving them stuff to read. We're giving them things that open up their minds toward creativity and stuff like that. And that's all I was trying to do, is give to our youth. That's one of my business models, is to create that generation, that new generation of writers, artists, and collectors. That's what I feel like us in the Ink Alliance are going to do. We're going to create that new generation. So they're on the same push and drive that I'm on. But back to that, I think every man in here, Mike, you just went to go tend to your daughter. BJ, you just had a little kid. My son was my driving force, because I'm not going to lie, I was a 401k hugger. You know what I'm saying? I was, my benefit hugger. I said, I'm cool. I got a good job. I make good money. I'm doing all right, but something in my core spirit just said, you know what? You won't know until you try. Failure can't be an option. And if you fail, what do? You just get back up. Failure is not fatal, and success is not final. So even though we're doing well, we got to keep driving the bus to where we get to where we got to go. And so I just decided, after I did this giving thing, because I have a nonprofit called Soul Geek Empowerment. Soul Geek Empowerment is my giving source. I give out comic books, Funko Pops, everything. And from there, I had so many people, where's your store at? Where's your store at? Where's your store at? I decided to do the comic den. And then I gave my boss my 2-week notice. And he was like, are you really doing this, man? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But, I'm giving you a 2-week notice in case it don't work out. I'm coming back, man. I want to be on good terms with you and stuff like that. But, going on 2 years, I really feel blessed. God, this is one of the best moves I ever made in my life. This is something that, I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to integrate my life and be a part of comics, be a part of the comic community. And, we're brothers. And, I have Black people come in my store all the time. They're like, man, this feels good to be able to come inside the store, see one of our kind, feel good, don't feel uncomfortable, and we're creating a new atmosphere for people like us to feel good inside of a store where they've gone to other stores and not had that same comfortability, and that's how we're touching people by being Black comic book store owners. It's not the fact that it's a color thing at the most, but it's like I was telling you guys about Keith Pollard. Just imagine what more Black kids would have done finding out that he was a Black artist. He would have moved a nation of us to get more into comic books. That's what Mike does. That's what, Sean and Phillip does. When people like us walk into a store and they see us, being bookstore owners, it influences them to say, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. And that's what I think that's the main push of all of our drive, is to just be a powerful source of encouragement, because reading comic books for so long, you're either going to think like the hero or you're going to think like the villain, dude. So I've just been at this going on 2 years. I'm the youngest out of the crowd, but man, I gotta say, I don't bullshit around when it comes to this. I drive the bus hard, and I don't get off until I get to my stop, and I'm not gonna stop at this, dude. I'm gonna keep doing this until, it feeds me well.
Facts. Now that representation is really important. I know it's a buzzword right now, but like I remember being at GalaxyCon a couple years ago, and I never knew that Ron Wilson was Black until I walked past his booth. And I consider myself to be fairly plugged in. I'm online every week, but had no idea. And like another example, Dennis Cowan is like 8 months older than my mother and like grew up down the block. And it's like, this dude was drawing Batman. Like, I would have never known, like it's crazy. And you go all the way back, like Black people have been in comics since pretty much the beginning. And, but people would have you believe that we're some super minority and Black people don't buy comics and we don't care about it. And it's like, this couldn't be further from the truth. So I'm glad that, on all levels, but especially at the retail level, that we're pushing back against that narrative. And so I guess, since we got, co-host so nice, we got him twice, Mr. and Mrs. Mack here from Cuts and Comics. I would love to know a little bit about your story, Sean. I know that you had Short Fuse Media for a while, and this is a bit of a pivot into the shop. But I'd love to know like a bit of your backstory and how you guys got into what you're doing now.
All right. Well, yeah, I had Short Fuse Media, and as a publisher and operations director, my thing was I wanted to know everything about comics that I could. So there were times where I worked at fulfillment companies because I was doing fulfillment. I worked at a comic book shop when I was younger. And when I was running Short Fuse, I worked at that same comic shop as their warehouse manager, just so I can learn the comic end of the business, how to place the orders, things of that nature. So shout out to Comic City. Bob and Jill was excellent. That's kind of like, I figure like Cuts and Comics is like an offspring of that. But then the rest of my story just kind of revolves around my lovely wife, Ragan, who runs the day-to-day operations, because she has her version of the story that I think is more suited than what I would say. And I get cussed out about saying my version of the story. So I just turn it on over to her.
How could you do this to me?
Don't get them in trouble, Ragan.
Oh my God. Oh Lord.
I want to hear the rest of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay. Are you sure, honey?
Yeah, tell the same story that you tell in the shop to all the customers.
Well, I usually tell people now to go and read for themselves, but okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the story goes, when Sean was a little boy, he would frequent the barbershop with his dad. And it's particular, he always enjoyed going, of course, barbershop, old school, talk, plenty of smack. This one particular time he went and he was bored. He saw a stack of magazines laying on a table. Underneath that stack, it was a comic book, Batman versus the Predator. And he said, okay, well, I know who Batman is and who the Predator is, but why are they fighting? And it sparked an interest in comics. And just like my husband said, he worked at comic book stores and managed, eventually became a publisher. And the idea always stuck with him, barbershop and comic book stores. And he just so happened to marry a barber. That's it.
So
I love it. It's the one part of the story that I have to tell that she hates.
Oh my God.
Just like right now, I'm traveling on business because I say it all the time, and I don't know if people take me serious. Ragan runs the day-to-day operations at Cuts and Comics. I'm in the store maybe twice, maybe 3 times a week because I travel for work. And like even right now, we're in separate states. And, at the end of the day, I was traveling and we had the conversation about it. And I came back off the road one day, and lo and behold, she had a shop. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. She was like, yeah, I signed the lease. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, we're gonna do it. You talked about putting the barbershop and the comic book store together, and I got a lease. So our first location, she just did it. She did it 100%. That was her. She did it. And I was doing an interview, which if anybody's read the short story on the short comic on our website from Chronicles, I was doing the interview, and that's a true story. If you read that magazine, if you read that story, I was doing the interview because again, it was a barbershop and a comic book store. So people in Georgia was like, hey, we want to come talk to you about this. And I said in the interview, like, yeah, so, I came off from traveling and, she had already had the shops and we just had to figure it out from there. And she went off on me as soon as they left. She smiled while they was there, but she went off on me as soon as they left and was like, how dare you say that lame story? They want to hear something more positive.
They want to hear the story. Yes.
We didn't just make it happen. We didn't figure it out. So, I let her tell the version that she likes of the story, but they're the same story. It's just my perspective and hers, though.
But it is such an honor to be the first and only barbershop comic book store combination in the world. You know?
Hey,
That is
say
so
that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's just the power of a strong wife, right? Like,
yes, you know.
I don't know if I've shared this story online, but this, well, not this camera, but my first camera, this is a Canon T3i, and I wanted a camera for a long time because I wanted to make beat making videos, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. We had a 2-year-old at the time. I was like, I don't have money to be spending on, it's like $800 for a camera. And my wife in 2015 just went out and used our money to buy me a camera for my birthday. And I was like, what was this for? And she's like, listen, you got to do what you was trying to do. So, and I mean, we ate off that camera. I was a photographer for a little bit. I was unemployed. And so built up those skills. I shot weddings, shot all kinds of stuff, and then built what is now this YouTube channel with it. And it's just like, that would not have happened if my wife didn't just go to the store and spend some money. Because I don't know that I ever would have. I'd still be sitting here like, man, it'd be nice to make some videos. So shout out to you for doing what needed to be done.
And every time you mention it, she'll say something to you about it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, Mrs. Mack, to my knowledge, you are the only Black woman who owns a comic book shop at the moment. I want to give, respect to LaShawn Colvin, rest in peace, who did have Comics and Geeks out in Montgomery. And then Ariel, who had Amalgam Comics in Philly, the coffee shop.
Heard a lot about her.
But obviously you occupy a unique space, right? Being the world's only combination comic shop and, barbershop. But then there's also that unique aspect of, okay, who's in ownership? And I think so part of what's interesting about bringing a diversity to the market is that every store is going to have a different feel. Every store is going to have a different product mix and personality. What would you say is unique about your shop outside of just the product mix? But what do you feel that you bring to the shop that you feel like isn't replicated in other areas of the market?
What do I bring? Fun. That's what I bring. Diversity. My shop is very diverse with the clientele. And because it's so diverse, I think the barbershop set us aside all by itself with diversity. And because of diversity for the barbershop, it also, transitions for the comic book side of things. So everybody comes to Custom Comics, not just one group of people, everybody. Yeah, I think that's it. Diversity. I'll stick with that.
I would chime in. I would chime in also and say I told Mike when he first reached out about us joining the Ink Alliance. The first thing I said, and I think the first meeting I attended, is I said that, hey, our shop is not like regular comic book shops because we don't get the same customers that you guys get. Essentially, we get the customers that most comic shops want. We get new customers. Like just about every single one of our customer is not a comic book fan that's walking in looking for comics. They're coming in to get their haircut, usually starting off with their children because they assume we're a children's shop for getting their haircuts. And then, usually the fathers and or the mothers watch their kids get their haircut a couple times and say, oh, she can cut my hair too. And while they're there, the fathers and or the mothers sometimes are usually looking at the racks like, I used to read these when I was younger. I used to check this out. And I didn't even know they still made these. And all of a sudden, we give every single customer to get a haircut, they get a comic book as well, as a curated comic. So they get those first couple comics, then all of a sudden they come back and they at the shelves and they're grabbing something. So we bring in customers back and or introducing children or anything like that to comics. So I think we got a fairly different base. I think we're a little jewel as far as, being a comic book store in our community, because the people that frequent like our competitor shops, if they go there and it's out, if they find out about us, they usually know they could probably get it at our shop because things don't fly off the shelf like that at our shop, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
I would say that'll be the bit of difference that I would say about our shop versus other shops. We typically get customers that's not 100% coming in just for comics. We're growing that aspect of the business, and we do make a decent amount on that side of the business, but that side is growing, and it's growing because there's new readers. We're getting new readers all the time.
Wait a minute. I need to change my answer. I need to let me change my answer right now.
You seeing what's special about Cuts and Comics watching the two of them. When she said it was fun watching, I could watch Ragan and Sean all day because they are just fun to watch, and I'm sure it's the vibes in the shop.
Yeah, definitely.
So now with that being said, right, like having this sort of constant flow of new customers, I feel like that's, it certainly is like what the ideal is for some people. But at the same time, I know most direct comic shops or direct market shops, they are relying on that weekly pull list customer, right, to predict how much they're going to have to, order and how their inventory levels are going to look. How do you guys manage that, knowing that there's going to be a steady flow of people that are walking in for the first time?
So for me, from an ordering aspect, because I'm tech support, I kind of handle the back end stuff. What I typically do is, be honest, I just order the stuff that I like. I order the stuff that I think looks cool. If I see something, I may get, being with distributors now, we get PDF copies of certain books. I may read the PDF and say, this looks dope. Or if I hear a little buzz about something, I may get it. I will be the first one to admit that I dropped the ball on Absolute Batman #1. I completely dropped the ball. I didn't know anything about it because I wasn't in tune. And then that's when I got the rush into my store because, again, we're like that little jewel. And when people find out, like, hey, you guys got this? I'm like, nah, but I can order it. And then, for me, I figure we're like the local, the friendly neighborhood, comic shop. It's like, hey, just talk to us. And when you come into our shop, it's just like a barber shop where you get people bantering. Of course, me and Ragan, when I'm there, we're bantering and talking junk to each other. So for us, it's like a family vibe when you walk in. It's like going to your barber shop where people are talking junk and all the time. So when people see that, it's like, hey, if you need something, just let us know. Just call the shop or just email us. Shoot us an email. We hand out business cards. Shoot us an email. Say if you need something and you didn't get it, hey, let me know and I'll get it for you. So typically that works out well because people that didn't get something and they come into our shop, they usually know they can just ask. And we'll just get it for them. And I go to the length of, me personally, similar to Joseph. I worked in, even though my 9 to 5 is not now retail, but for 20 years of my life, I was nothing but retail. So customer service has always been a big deal for me. I will order a book at a loss to ensure the customer gets it because I know that that'll make them come back to my store. So if I have to order something off of eBay and take a hit on it and take the loss to get them to say, just to get them the item that they wanted, I'm okay with doing that. Now that I got the Ink Alliance, I shouldn't have to do that. But even me, I give books out, even with the Ink Alliance, I would never try and charge them. I give it to them at cost. Like, here, man, if they need a book, here's the book. We just did something similar to that about 2 weeks ago.
Hey. Shh.
What are you talking about?
You're telling inside secrets.
No. We work together.
So BJ, Sean ordered the comics. I sell all the comics. Give me my hat. I sell the comics.
Nice. So
she does sell all comics.
So
most of them.
Phil, your comic shop. Funny, your background looks like my old background. I had to put my records in storage when we bought this place. But your comic shop is also a combination. You kind of do an art gallery, but you also have a record store. And my understanding is that takes up the majority of your business, or is responsible for the majority of your revenue at the moment. Why bring comics in as a part of that mix?
That starts with my upbringing. So I got into comics from my mom. So I read her collection growing up. That's how I learned how to read. And ever since then, I've been enamored with it. I was drawing Nightcrawler and Wolverine growing up and all of that. And there was several comic book stores that opened and closed from where we lived. So I would ride my bike there, listening to D'Angelo Brown's Sugar single. And I would go to the comic shop. And then on the way back, I would stop at the record store and get a CD. And then I'll get home and I'll listen to the CD and read comics. And so they always go music and comics always went hand in hand to me. I never, it always was that. So once I hit like 18, after I graduated high school, I made the conscious decision like, hey, I really want to DJ. I didn't know where to start, where to begin. And it's one of those things where my godbrother he had a record label, and now he's like, you're gonna be the A&R and the DJ. And I was like, I don't got no equipment. I can't afford no equipment. I don't even have a proper record collection. So everybody knew me as the kid who was making mixtapes. This was Napster, LimeWire era. So I was always burning CDs, handing them out to folks. Wasn't even selling them, I was just giving them away. And my first DJ name, and it's terrible DJ name I threw out there, is DJ Archangel. And it did not flow at all. And I was like, okay, that lasted for about a week. But after that, I started DJing, and once I hit 20, and I started internet radio stations, a radio station, 97.7 here in Jackson. And I kind of just grew after that from DJing at open mic nights at poetry spots called Savage Studios. And I started doing the major clubs and opening up for acts. Opened up for Snoop and Wiz and Flaming Lips, Mother's Finest, what have you. And everybody that met me, they're like, oh, your DJ name is Young Venom, like the snake. And I'm like, no, it's like Spider-Man. Like when Peter Parker had the black suit on, he had a bad attitude. That's pretty much me. They're like, oh, yeah, you an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, I am an asshole. So after that, everybody's like, oh, well, you should open up a comic book store. You know a lot about comics. And I'm just like, no, it's not going to work in this market. Not by itself. And then I mean, other people, they were like, oh, you should open up a record store. It's not going to work. And I'm like, I said the same thing. And so I ended up being a part of this Leadership Institute. And at the end of the Institute, we had to come up with a project that affects our community. Now, mind you, I'm a college dropout. At the time, I am a youth justice organizer for the ACLU Mississippi. So I'm doing Know Your Rights trainings and everything else. And so I'm there. My cohorts are all doctors, lawyers, councilmen, aldermen. And as soon as I walk in, they're like, oh, yeah, you're the DJ. And I'm like, my name is Phillip. I'm not DJing right now. Appreciate it. And all of them, either ran for office or opened up a practice, of course. So I proposed to them the idea of Offbeat. And I said, Jackson is 80% Black. We don't have a record store that sells majority Black music. We don't even have a comic book shop. All the comic shops are in the suburbs. And we have 2 HBCUs here, Tougaloo and Jackson State. And there are some talented artists out of there, but there's no art gallery for them to showcase and sell their work. So I want this to be a conduit for them to showcase and sell their work, because they teach you art, but they don't teach you how to sell art. And so I wanted to give them a stepping stone for that in some form or fashion. And the people that were over it, they're like, yeah, you had the most well thought out plan. And I was like, that's scary because you're talking about we got people running for office, but whatever. And Offbeat just kind of birthed from that. I started out with 2 record bins, 4 bookshelves. I was not doing single issue comics. I was directing them to my comic shop that I was still going to at the time. I was like, you want single issues, go here. But I carried a lot of trades, because then at this time, this was like 2014, everybody was like binge watching, TV shows. So I was like, okay, if they're going to binge watch, they can binge read and have all 6 issues in the trade. That was my mindset of it. And, it worked out. I had people slowly coming in, and it wasn't until probably like 3 years ago. The comic shop I used to frequent, they decided to close and sell to the other comic shop. Now, when that happened, chaos ensued because people didn't like the other comic shop. And that comic shop ended up selling full of subscribers, pools online. So a lot of those people started coming to me, and it's slowly growing. We get about like 80 something subscribers now that come to the shop on a regular basis. And Yeah, now where records was majority of my sales, it's half and half right now. I have some dedicated people that will get every variant cover there is and stuff like that. Because somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I have been out of the game for a while, so I need to catch up." And I'm just like, "You can just not do that. I don't want your wife to kill me." And I appreciate you, but I try to give them a good experience to everybody that comes in the shop. I've had people that come in that's tourists and stuff like that. I had a guy from St. Louis today and another guy from Las Vegas, and they were telling me about, hey man, this has been a great experience. I've never been to a store like this. So I just wanted, I grew up going to stores and being typecast and seeing how they treated my mom and like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman's over there. And she didn't read that. She read nothing but teen books like Alpha Flight and all X-Men, X-Force, Avengers West Coast, and everything else like that. And I was just like, I don't want people to feel like that when they come in here. I want everybody to feel equal and stuff like that. And, help them find something that they may look for, not force anything on them. And, that's in Offbeat, all this stuff I sell in the shop, from the anime figures to the comics to the records, all that stuff is a form of art. And even, at one point, jazz wasn't considered music. Hip hop wasn't considered music by people. And, that's art, and comics are art. I have to tell people, I'm like, somebody has to draw, ink, letter, all that's a form of art, editing. The toys that you just think are just kids' toys, somebody still has to sculpt that. Somebody has to paint that before it goes into production. That is a form of art. So that's why the store's called Offbeat. Not only are we on the offbeaten path in Jackson, Mississippi, but all this stuff is a form of offbeat art.
Thanks. Man, you know what's crazy? Talking about how comics are art. It occurred to me, you are the second DJ named Phil that I've had on this podcast. Have you been connected with DJ Big Phil? Because y'all would hit it off.
We haven't spoken, but we know of each other. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to connect y'all behind the scenes. So he could bring his gallery collections in black. I feel like that's something that Jackson needs to see.
Yeah.
So that'd be dope. But with that, we kind of buried the lead a little bit, talking about this proposal that came across you guys' desk, you and Mike. And now we can kind of reveal it, right? You guys have seen the press release. And we know that Static is returning to the Titans next month in New Titans issue 38. And you guys have a retailer exclusive variant that's exclusive to all the 10 Ink Alliance shops. But how did this come together?
Well, I could probably take that. And it's a combination of two things that happened. The first is DC had actually reached out. So to back up, the ComicsPro convention that we've been talking about was an opportunity for me to meet and network with the executives at different publishers, including DC Comics. And so, I had built some relationships with the folks that were responsible for sales at DC. And I gave them an early preview into what it was I was trying to attempt with Ink Alliance. Again, we didn't even have a name at this point, but I'm like, hey, I'm starting some conversations, and I'm building some bridges, and these black retailers were talking to each other. So I'm updating them on the status of it. And my birthday weekend in May, I got an email from DC that was like, hey, this is before it was announced to the public. They're like, we're working on a project that we're really excited about, and we think it'd be a good fit for that group you were telling us about. So if you're interested, reach out. Now that happened on my birthday weekend. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I ain't see that email because I was too busy out there trying to kick it that weekend. So I didn't even know. I might have glanced at it, but I ain't really paying no attention, right? So then another thing happened. That following Sunday, I started getting Instagram messages from Sanford Greene. And he was like, hey, brother, I really need to talk to you. When you get a chance, hit me up. Now, I'm going to be real. I met Sanford at San Diego Comic-Con the year before. And, we chopped it up, but I didn't think he knew who I was. I'm like, what I mean? Like, I ain't about to sit up in front, like me and Sanford are homies. We met, we had a good time that night. We kicked it. And then I ain't heard from the brother. So when he dropped in the DMs, I was like, is this a scam? Is this really Sam? I had to check the Instagram account just to make sure it was the right person. And so I
had the same experience. We chopped it up for who knows how long, and I told my daughter, I didn't know he knew who I was. And I was like, you know what? We two black beings, probably just saying what's up.
right?
Come to find out, this man just be lurking.
He be lurking. So I'm like, wow. And I don't even tell his business because now everybody gonna be dropping this Sanford DM. So, I know you checking this, but no, like so Sanford hits me, and I called him right after I read the email from DC. I called him and we got on the phone, and he was like, "Look, brother, he was being real cryptic because he didn't know I had known about this. He didn't know DC had reached out to me already. So he's being real cryptic. He's like, hey man, I got this cover idea, man, for this project I can't even talk about yet. But you know, when I finished it, he was like, of all the covers I've done, he said, when I finished this one, I was like, yo, this is special. This got to stay in the culture. I couldn't give this one to DC, right? Like I couldn't make this an open order variant. So like I've just been looking for like a black owned shop to gift this to, so that it don't go to open order. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's fantastic. But you know I can't buy 1,000 copies of this goddamn book. Like I was like, I said, Sanford, I appreciate it. Because like that's the thing, right? Like with these, so a lot of people don't understand, like for these exclusive variants, you got to be willing to commit to a minimum of 1,000 copies before they will lock it in with you, right?
And you got to pay to commission the art.
Exactly. Well, you know, all sorts of stipulations, right? But that's why many of the smaller retailers, black-owned retailers, like we have never really been able to fully participate in this program because the threshold is so high, right? It really favors bigger stores. So when he told me about this, I was hand slapping him. I'm like, bro, I bet you this cover's fire. He was like, he even sent me a text with it, and I was like, bro, this is fire. But I ain't gonna Blerds Underground ain't about to finance it. I said, but what you don't know is I'm like, I've met with DC, or they send me this email. I know what project you're talking about. I know what this is. And I said, you happen to hit me up at the same time I'm having conversations with other black retailers anyway. Like we're starting to unite. So I said, give me some time to work this out because I mean, we ain't had but a few Zoom calls. So this is really going to accelerate some stuff for us. But I think this is a great opportunity for us to take this art and let this be the launching point for something much bigger than just this book, because it's big enough on its own. But I'm like, this could be the moment that is big for multiple reasons, including what we're creating. So yeah, so I brought it back to the team, and I mean, I had this emergency Zoom with all of the black retailers, and I was like, yo, this is the opportunity. I threw that cover up on screen share, and I'm like, what we gonna do? And every single person on that Zoom was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Like we got to figure this out. And it was like right after that, that's when we all got into planning mode. Okay, we need a brand, we need a name, and I got to give Phillip credit because, you know, he is the mastermind that helped put a lot of the pieces together in terms of like, how do we organize this into something to work? How do we get all these pieces together? And so we just automatically, like all of us started to collaborate around this idea that this could be the launching pad for this moment we have been talking about. So that's how it came about. My version of it. Phillip may have some details I left out.
Yeah, he left off big detail. So after he talked, this man called me. He's like, "Hey man, I gotta tell you this," and I'm like, "All right, man, what is it?" And Mike, like I said, Mike is always happy, always excited.
You
he
always
like that
sound
Yorkie
annoyed. You tell these stories.
Yeah,
man.
look, man, he kind of grinded my gears a bit. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's like, you gonna do like, okay, we go back to ComicsPro. He's like, you gonna do karaoke, Phillip? I'm like, I don't do karaoke. I DJ, man. He was like, oh, but you love music. I said, and I don't like hearing terrible people singing music off key. Like, no, I'm not doing that. He's like, all right. So he did karaoke. I went and got far. I came back. Mike is gone. I'm like, he's like, yeah, we gonna do this. We gonna do new edition. And I'm like, I'm just doing this. All right, man. I'm going to bed. Like, I ain't got time for that. But I appreciate his energy because we need that balance.
The yin and yang. The yin and yang.
Yeah. But man, he was hyping it up, and then he's like, I'm gonna show you this. You can't tell nobody. And he showed, and I see it, and I'm like, damn it.
That was so yeah, that's exactly right.
Because I saw it and I was like, this nigga DJing and the sideboard behind it with the DJ in me was already like, I need this. And so immediately the thing I said is, I need the original art. like I don't get, like I said, we're gonna do this, but also I need the OG art. I need that in my house now. I said I will pay for it. I will trick off on that joint. But but it's like it is yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like a really whirlwind experience, and how this all came about with everything. And I'm just glad pieces have just lined up for all of this.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I'm trying to hold true to my word. It's been exactly 1 hour. I'm gonna ask you one last question, right? So, when this came together, I'm gonna ask each of you all this individually, but what made you want to join the alliance? Like, I have a small bit of experience joining alliances, and the last time didn't really work out for me so well. But I'm curious as to like what you felt like the group could bring, like how the whole could perhaps be better than the sum of its parts, and why you're still down for this.
Oh, well, I think this is history in the making. I mean, honestly, this has never really been done in my knowledge whatsoever. I believe that this unity is going to bring apart more offers. It's going to bring out more Black artists and Black writers. It's going to bring more opportunity to the Ink Alliance to have like these great dope covers. But just to bounce off what Michael and Phillip was saying, man, just to know Sean and Ragan and Tony, just to be able to reach out and just have these powerful connections with other stores, that's where the privilege and the honor truly comes from. For me, it's just to know these individuals and their drive and stuff like that, because they all seem to have a uniqueness to their business, in my opinion. Sean said that I thrive off service. All of us sell comic books, and we got counterparts around us, but the difference is how we make people feel when they come into our store compared to when they go into other stores. And that's when I talk to each, or I hear from each and every one of those. I always listen to the uniqueness that each of us have, and then to culminate that into the Ink Alliance. I just think that that's a powerful movement that's going to be a mark that can't be erased.
Yeah, man. I love one thing that like I've seen happen in other shops, right? Like, because like you said, you got to buy 1,000 copies at least of these retailer exclusives, and a lot of the other shops, they'll team up, and pay for a print run and be like, all right, cool, like your shop's in this city, my shop's in that city, so we're not even really competing. Let's go in on this exclusive together. And so when I saw the announcement for this, I was like, okay, this is dope. Like, it allows people, like you said, to get in on a trend, but also create a moment or be a part of a moment that otherwise would not be available to you guys as individuals. So I'm really excited to see that this has come together so well. And it's just, I don't know, it's heartwarming to, one, know that you all exist, right? And to see you all exist in community, right? Where it's not egos. It's not like, all right, well, I've been here this long, you've been here that long. Like, everybody seems to value each other on an equal playing field. There's clearly, respect and reverence of one another. So it's really dope to see. Not that y'all needed to be hyped up like that, but I just got to call it out,
No, that's it. That's the vibe. I mean, look, it's been some times, especially early in this, when we had our first few Zooms, and you would see all the faces on the Zoom, where I told the team, I'm like, yo, let's just stop for a second and just look at this. I get chills, man. Sometimes, I mean, even now talking about it, it's like the experience of putting all of these great people together around a common cause is the stuff that these books are made of. It's the teams that Phillip was talking about. It's the X-Force, X-Fact, what I mean? Like, these are the types of things that get you excited. And to know that this is, like, to Joe's point, history in the making, that we have the potential to do something in this industry that has never been done in 2026. This industry been around a minute. To be able to say, like, we are doing something that truly has not been done in the culture. And we're doing it, to your point, without ego and trying to figure out ways of building bridges in a moment where it's so divisive, right? And we see the stuff, we ain't blind to it, you know what I mean? To see an example of what it can look like when Black folks start building together, working together, collaborating together, it's seriously something that I'm the most proud of. I mean, my shop was about ownership. When Marcel and I purchased Blerds Underground, it was about Black ownership and like being able to show that and represent that to my community. This is about legacy for me. Like, this is taking that next step and making sure that it doesn't stop at a Blerds Underground, that we can solidify as long as there is retail, comics retail in this country, that we can do our part to make sure that there's a Black shop represented up in that. That's the legacy that we're building together. And that is, of course, something that we can only accomplish together. So anyway, I just had to say that real quick because I think that's important.
Excellent. You got me wanting to go to a Jay-Z concert.
Still mad I didn't get that ticket. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Man.
Soft spot.
Joe, I'm not kicking you out. I just want to respect your time and make sure you're on time for your birthday festivities.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. No, but it's an honor and a pleasure to meet you, BJ, man. Love my folks. Love my Ink Alliance, my first lady. Love all y'all folks. I'm going to go out here and celebrate all this gray I got on my face, man.
Do it, brother.
Man. Happy birthday, man.
Do it. Happy birthday, Joe.
Thanks for
being here.
Hey, thank you, brother. But man, you guys stay strong, stay well, and stay blessed.
Same to you, man. Brother. First of all, again, the learning that there were so few Black-owned shops, and I don't know how many I expected there would be out of 2000. I certainly didn't expect the number to be 20 or less. And now it's my personal mission. I have to visit every single one of your shops. So, Michael, my sister just moved to Chicago. She's going to I don't want to say that, but she moved to the Chicagoland area. So I'm gonna find my way to Blerds Underground at some point next year.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Norcross, Georgia is not that far from where I live here in North Carolina. And the two Ink Alliance shops in North Carolina, Acme Comics in Greensboro and Eastgate Comics in High Point are within driving distance from one another. It's like a 30-minute drive, if that. So when this book goes live on August 19th, my plan is to make the drive. I'm going to leave Raleigh early in the morning. I'm going to stop at Acme first. We're going to shoot a little mini doc tour of the store. And then we're going to head over to High Point and do the same thing at Eastgate because it's crazy to me that there are only 2 Black-owned comic shops in the state, potentially. And you could basically throw a rock from one and hit the other. So we're going to show this off and make sure we get some traffic in these stores. Not that y'all need my help with the way this cover is about to fly off the shelves. Sean, can you speak a little bit to how the release is going to work on release day?
Yeah. Being a rookie with release dates and stuff, and again, our shop not being the most standard, I actually don't know what to expect. I made it a point to make sure I'm in town. I had to schedule some stuff and move some stuff around, so I'm going to be in town to make sure things go off without a hitch, because even when the announcements first came, our shop kind of got flooded with messages and everything, and I'm in Indiana, and Ragan kind of was feeling it. And she called me and she was going crazy, like, "Hey, this is what I'm talking about. You supposed to be here." And I'm like, "Okay, wait." And she was having a meltdown. But on the same time, she was online popping balloons and saying, "We did it."
Hey, that's because I had Michael and Phil. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
That's right. And I love that video, man. I was so excited. She got me on charge. I started to go buy some balloons my damn self.
Yeah, and that was one of the beautiful things, because I had a crazy work day that day, and I was really just not available. But the Ink Alliance held my wife down for me, so I can say thank you to all of them for that.
Right.
So I'll be in the shop that day. We did do pre-orders, and pre-orders went exceptionally well for our store. A lot of hits, so it'll be a lot of new customers coming to pick up books. So I'm excited about that. And kind of like the rest of the rollout with everybody else, we got the pre-orders going. People will come in, pick up their books. They got till that Sunday to pick up their books before we put them back in the rotation. The people that come in and pick up the books, maybe we'll have some events going on. I'm working on something that I could have as a little extra. I haven't told my Ink Alliance brethren about it, because I want to be the only one to do it. Because everybody else
told your wife about it.
You wasn't supposed to say that, and this is what they be talking about.
That's a secret I be talking about. Yeah, I'm telling secrets.
You wasn't supposed to say that.
I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry.
You supposed to just roll with the punches.
I know.
I would have had to roll with the punches if you said something. But either way, But hopefully I'll have something lined up because at Custom Comics again, we always like to give away stuff. We like to do little free stuff for our customers just as a little added bonus. So hopefully I can have something wrapped up that I'm working on. If I do, great. If not, I'll be in the shop with my wife, just holding her down just in case we get a swarm. So again, I've never been involved with any big releases. But luckily for us, the things that we've done so far, when it's been anything remotely similar to a release, like Star Wars Day is a big thing for us. This coming August 1st, we're doing a screening for a private screening for Spider-Man Brand New Day. That sold out almost immediately the first week, and I thought it was going to take at least a month and a half for us to get everything sorted. So I'm assuming it's going to go the same way, especially based off of how our pre-orders have been. But yeah,
BJ, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. We don't know.
Right.
We're figuring it out.
I thought we couldn't say figure it out. See?
Who said that?
Oh my Lord.
Well, I will
figure it out.
I told you I love watching them too.
Right.
So I can do it all day.
I need the Mack show for real. But
really?
That's what I've been saying.
Listen.
Kicking it with the Macks.
Right. But
Michael trying to trademark that.
I am, brother. I swear I'm a trademark that when it happens.
But yeah, so I have to apologize to the Macks because I definitely contributed to some of this web traffic. When I saw y'all put a pre-order up, I was like, oh, bet. And then I got the confirmation email and it was like, hey, the pre-order is just for local people. And I was like, oh, my bad. I'm gonna need to cancel that. I'm gonna have to cancel that. But we'll see how things shake out on a Sunday. We'll see what gets left over for the general public. I'm excited. Honestly, selfishly, I hope these books all sell out in person because I just think that would be a dope thing to sell out within 5 days of this book. And I don't know that I want to see it go on the secondary market. I would hope that everybody that's buying it is somebody that wants to have it. But hey, as long as y'all get your retailer exclusive money, like I'm cool with whatever happens after that. You know what I'm saying? But real quick, I do want to shout out because again, the rules for this release, you've got to go to an Ink Alliance shop in person on Wednesday, August 19th to pick up this book. And for the first 5 days, that's the only way you can get it is to go into an Ink Alliance shop. After that Sunday, they may release whoever's got online web stores. Maybe you can call, do a mail order, however it works for the individual shops. But there will be some, we assume, left over for the general public to pick up, however you can make that or get that done. So with that, I want to shout out each of the shops that you'll be able to order this book from. So we talked about Acme Comics. They're in Greensboro. Shout out to Lord Retail. We've got Blerds Underground. Of course, Michael's here in LaGrange, Illinois. Shout out to Tony at Challenges Games and Comics in Atlanta proper. And then we've got
Tucker.
That's the only one.
Tony gonna get you when he hit us.
Right.
It's Atlanta.
That's a joke.
But shout out to the Macks are here from Cuts and Comics in Noonan. I said Norcross in Noonan, Georgia. Shout out to Eastgate Comics, again, at McDonald Court in High Point. I'll be there on the 19th. Gulf Coast Cosmos in Houston, Texas, the only Black-owned shop in the state of Texas. The state of Texas is huge. That is crazy.
That's big.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
So.
Yep.
Offbeat, shout out to Phil's here in Jackson, Mississippi. I've been to Jackson, Mississippi one time on a church trip. Shout out to Joe, who just left from the Comic Den on West Slauson in LA. And then we've got Third Coast Comics in Chicago proper and Windows Comics and Collectibles in Claremont, Florida. So those are the 10 shops you'll be able to order this exclusive New Titans 38 cover by Sanford Greene. If you have not seen it, I will edit it in so that you can see this cover. But it is every bit as amazing and infuriating as Phillip described. It is static DJing with Cyborg standing behind with the sound machines. Like just, it is the most hip hop dance hall sound clash cover I have ever seen. And it's done by Sanford Greene, who just I've never seen a bad cover by this man. I just purchased his first published cover art, and it was dope then. So
yep,
that's just how it goes. So it's a momentous occasion. Static is back in the DC universe. He is on the Titans, joining the Titans. As I filmed this, New Titans 37 just came out yesterday, and there's a little 4-page preview that kind of explains a little bit of how Static came from the Dakota incident into where we're about to find him next month in New Titans 38. So go pick that up so you're not completely lost on the story so far. You didn't buy the New History of the DC Universe, the Dakota incident, you need to go pick that up. I'm not sure how you missed the huge campaign and an event that was. But once you grab that, grab your New Titans, you'll be all caught up on where Static is currently. Now, with all of that said, I guess I should ask what this moment, like, and Static coming back to the DC universe proper, means to each of you guys. Yeah, that's whoever wants to take it.
I think for me, personally, it's like a full circle moment, because when I initially came up with the business plan, so when Marcel and I we're best friends, when we were talking about first starting a shop, we were thinking of names, and we had a lot of terrible names. And one of the first names that we came up with was like the Milestone, the Milestone Initiative or Institute. It was something, but the thought then was that we wanted to pay tribute to the legacy of Dwayne McDuffie, of the brothers that put together Milestone. And now, fast forwarding, we're in business. I had an opportunity before we formed the Ink Alliance to meet and talk to Dennis Cowan, and when he was in Chicago for C2E2. And it was at the time where we were just kind of like starting this group, and we were just, meeting each other. And I was explaining to Dennis what I was hoping would become this group. And he gave me so much knowledge of like the history, the importance of these characters and why they need to exist, why retail needs to support their existence. This is right around the time that the Dakota incident, the New History of DC Dakota incident came out. And so we were all on the horn with Joe Illidge, and for us to be able to take a part of this moment, this historic moment that Static joins mainline DC on a team like this, for it to be the moment that we announce this group, that we have this cover and opportunity to celebrate one of our own artists, to me, it just feels like this full circle moment. You know what I mean? It's like it's bigger than just Static. It's the legacy of Milestone. It's us paying tribute to the brothers that were the first to do something that historic on that bigger stage. And then to follow up with that, all of these retailers who came up during those times where it was hard to find. And when Milestone came out and what it means and signifies to us to stand behind that and say, we got a cover that you can only get at a Black-owned shop for the first time in history, is to me the biggest tribute to Milestone, that legacy in this moment.
For sure, man. Well said. Just recently, there was an article that came out, or an announcement that DC made, basically putting limits on some of the activities of these retailers, right? For those who don't know, been under a rock, with the success of the Absolute Universe, there's been quite the renewed interest in retailer exclusive variants. And, most people, when they ask me, like, hey, it's been 98 covers for Absolute Batman number 23. And I'm like, whatever, if the market can support it, these retailers are paying for them. Like, what's the harm? But these drops are going like, sneakers pass releases on Saturday morning. And it's causing a lot of consternation. And there have been some shops that have been gaming the system where they'll hold a certain amount of stock for a little bit, and then they'll kind of trickle it out, but they'll keep increasing the prices as it gets later and later in the drop season or cycle. And so to put a stop on that, DC has announced like hard caps on what you can sell your retailer exclusive comics for. Keep me honest. What is the new rule?
That you can't do more than 5x.
5 times the suggested retail price. And then I think it's 10x if there's a signature on the book. Which is like, I don't know how I feel about that. How do you guys feel about that?
First thing I did was I did the math and I said, well, we in the 5 times mark.
Right. This wasn't going to affect but you know what's funny is like when we announced the price, when we finally went out and announced the price of the Sanford book, it's $29.99. We had folks at $29.99 at least hitting my shop. Like, good Lord, that's a lot of money. Chris Rock, can I get one rib? It was like, yo, folks looking at us like $29.99. And you always gonna have that. You always gonna have somebody that think that you charging too much. But the truth is, like, we were far from that 5X. Like, we weren't even close to it. The most egregious examples that this whole rule was instituted for were from shops that A, didn't look like ours, and B, we're much bigger and played these type of games to make a whole lot more money than $29.99. Like these books is going for over $1,000 in some cases. So I understood the rationale behind it. I don't think that we were in any sort of violation, but to your point, the timing sucked because it was like we just announced our price. Right. And then all of a sudden, DC hit us with this announcement, and now everybody think they talking about the Ink Alliance book. Right. It's like you know, who's not informed, they looking at us like, did you see DC's thing? Y'all better not be 5X. And I'm like, you have no idea like how far we are from 5X. But you know, these are the types of things like I would say this, you know, Black folk, we do business different. Right. Like we're always considering our community. We're, you know, because most of us are doing more than just trying to make a quick buck. Right. When we decided the price for the book, we had conversations as a group, how we wanted to unify this price so that you can't, you know, one store is not charging more for the other and what the buy-in should be so that we can attract new users, new collectors to buy this book, right? We wanted to make it affordable. We wanted to make sure that we had protections in there so that, you know, folks wouldn't just come off the internet and buy up all these copies to resell on whatnot. Like we talked about the limiting to one person to avoid some of that stuff that happens in the market. So like all these questions and debates and conversations we had as a team was to make sure that our people had access to this book. The ones that DC talk about, they ain't worried about none of that. They sit up there trying to figure out how can I get 1,000 off of this absolute Batman cover. So it never really, for me, I can't talk for the rest of the group on this one, but it never really for me bothered me at all. I saw the announcements, I was like, all right, cool, that don't apply to me. But what did the rest of you all think?
John?
Go ahead. Well, I'll say that just from being from a former publisher standpoint, I had a lot of publishers, actually, indie publishers reaching out to me like, hey, what you think about this? And I'm like, well, you know, at the end of the day, again, my first thing was, well, we're under the 5 times mark, so it's not a big deal. And two, again, to Mike's point, it wasn't addressed to us. They specifically said in a lot of the coverage that was about this was that it stemmed from a lot of this absolute Batman stuff and the absolute universe stuff. So, you know, it was like, well, we know who can afford to get a bunch of retailer exclusive variants and who's the ones really making, you know, 5 figures off of it, because the damn sure ain't none of us. So, you know, you can't make 5 figures off a $30 book anyway. So, not at the amount that we ordered. So, you know, it didn't bother me. I posted something on our Substack and I left it at that. I made some comments on some posts. I answered the questions that came and left it alone.
I feel like Mike, $29.99. Can I get one rib? For real.
Right.
Like $29.99 for a piece of history, right. You guys. You can't put a price on that. I mean, if you had to, would you put it at $29.99? $29.99?
Right.
It's history.
Right. Absolutely.
Do y'all is this a sorry, just popped in my head. Is this a regular cover or is it cardstock?
Cardstock.
Oh, that's dope. That's, man, y'all could have sold it for 50. Well, I guess y'all couldn't at this point. Right. Easily could have been.
No, that still wouldn't be 5X if I do it my math right. Carry the one. Yeah. I think we'd have still been straight. But Phillip, what was you about to say?
No, like it didn't. I think when people, you know, I didn't have any complaints on my end, but I'm also somewhat of a former hype beast. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of, you know, I see everything. So I see the people that were complaining like, oh, I don't have a store in my area. Y'all should be shipping this out. And then I see why is it $30? And I'm just like, man, if it's something that you want, you will go get it. I will drive. I'm in Jackson. I'm 3 hours away from New Orleans, and in Memphis and 6 from Dallas and Atlanta. And I have taken those road trips to get what the shoes I want. I would say that much. I've stood in line, take the road trip, eat some Buc-ee's, whatever, and then I'm there and I'm chilling. And, I feel like crap after eating at Buc-ee's, but, it is what it is. But the thing about it is where it's also an experience to go to get, not only it's a history making thing, but it's an experience to go visit these stores and stuff like that as well. That was another initial reason for like, we want these people to come to these stores, get this comic, and then possibly find another book if possible, or start a subscription to Titans. And then that way we can continue to get more Black representation in comics because they're going to see these sales and stuff like that of that. So that being said, with how the Dropgate and the fallout from Dropgate leading up to this DC decision, that's never going to affect us in our bottom line. All our stuff is going to be done with purpose. Because I had a customer today, they're like, "Oh, you should do an Absolute Batman cover now that you got this formed," and I'm like, "That's not in the plan, man." I said, "There's too many people doing Absolute Batman. Y'all should be sick of Absolute Batman covers. Retailer exclusive, whatnot exclusive, whatever. It's too many." And I'm born in the 80s. I'm a child of the 90s. And I remember when the 90s boom happened and from a consumer standpoint. And I'm like, man, we got this full cover, X-Men Prime, X-Men Omega, Alpha, and all of that stuff. And then it just imploded. And those books are easily to get. And I'm like, okay, the market is there. And there's a lot of people buying right now. But it's gonna stop eventually, and we don't know when that is. And that's on just the collector standpoint. What we need to focus on is what Sean and Ragan are doing and getting consistent new people reading these comics. It'd be a plus if they are consistent young Black people or kids reading these comics, and they're getting a $5 book, once a month. And that leads to, something that they can continue on throughout life. Because it's a probably the most affordable hobby I have. And I have a lot of hobbies as a DJ. Records aren't cheap.
They're not.
And selling new records, you don't even want to know my cost on. Well, Mike knows my cost on records.
Right. I wouldn't looked it up.
He went and looked it up because he nosy as hell. But it's not easy when you have, as I'm talking personally, it's not easy when you have things that you love. And I don't have every record I want, and I know my limits. But I'm like, okay, I could buy it online, but I'd rather go to the store and find it. And some people get that, and some people don't. And some people end up will. But the thing about it is, all this stuff, like I paid the $40 for this cover. Had to have it. I had to have it.
Yep.
And so
get mine signed over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine signed next week. So when $30, I'm like, again, this is art. Art appreciates in my eyes, and especially if it's well kept. And anything less than 30 was going to be a slap in the face to Sanford Greene, in my opinion. And I really do think like his art needs to be valued, not undervalued, especially for an incentive cover. And these things people will realize one day because, shoot, man, you either get in line or get out the way and let somebody else get it. And that's going to be it.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Listen, drops are drops. This stuff happens. I remember going and putting in 5 different raffle tickets because my wife really wanted the Columbias. Excuse me. They were calling them the Legend Blues that year. And I missed on every single raffle. I was mad. So I had to just go ahead and pay the tax and grab them on the resale market. And that's just how it goes. But man, I'm so excited about this initiative. Like I said, I'm making a road trip out of it. Unless I'm on vacation, I don't really shop anywhere except my local comic shop because those are the homies. Like they take care of me. They sponsor the channel. But to be able to be a part of history that day and be in Jermaine's line that day, right down the street from where I went to school, and then take the trip and got to pass my grandmother's old house to get to East Gate and stand in that line. And that's just going to be a dope experience. And it's like, again, every store's got a different fingerprint, a different DNA, right? Y'all's back issue bins aren't going to look like other stores' back issue bins. Like, I am very excited to make a day of this. And I know that people are excited to visit your shops for the same reasons and more. So I'm really excited about y'all putting this together. Thank y'all for this.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. And thank you for allowing us the space to come on here and talk about it, man. Really.
Hey, no problem at all. Listen, go ahead. I told y'all I'm gonna reach out to each of you individually. Like, this won't be the last time we speak. So you guys, we'll be hearing more from the Ink Alliance. I know there are other things in the works. I'm sure there are plenty of things in progress. I've said too much, but this won't be the last we're hearing from the Ink Alliance. And this certainly won't be the last we're hearing of the Ink Alliance on Comics Are Dope. So with that, again, August 19th, check your local listings. Go to theinkalliance.org, theinkalliance.org, so you can check out the list of member stores. You can see there's contact information. So you need to figure out, okay, what time's the store open this day? Who's doing what events? How many copies am I limited to? All that information will be at each individual retailer. But you definitely want to get in line sooner than later. August 19th, New Titans issue 38, the Ink Alliance exclusive cover by Sanford Greene. It's amazing. I'm going to have at least 2 copies, and you can't buy them off. So, my brother, you got to get your own.
Love it.
So with that, y'all, again, thank you to each of the Ink Alliance members, those who represent on this call, those who are not. Shout out to Joseph. Happy birthday to him. And we will see you all in another episode of Comics Are Dope very soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.